Hi there, this is Danielle Dunlop. Today I'll be making a card with the new Studiolight Sweet Stories Summer collection. I'll be starting with the stencil from this collection, which has all kinds of waves on each side of the stencil. And there's also some bubbles in there. And I'm going to take those bubble pieces out now first, and then I'm going to use it with some texture paste. I'll be using the Ranger Ink Texture Paste Transparent, and I'm going to fill up some bubbles that will be in my ocean in the background of my card. And once I have all the bubbles that I want there in my ocean, I'm making sure that it's going to be dry really well, because on top of this, we're going to do some ink blending. To create my ocean, I'll be using the same ocean wave stencil from Studiolight Sweet Stories Summer collection, and I'm just using this wavy part for the top of the water, and I'll make sure it's placed just on top of the top bubbles. With Distress Oxide ink Tumbled glass, I'm just going to go along that edge of the stencil just to mark off the top of my ocean in the background of my card. Now with that same tumbled glass color, I'm going to try to get as close as possible to those wave markings that I put in there. And I'm going to fill up that entire ocean at the top with tumbled glass, and then at the bottom with Mermaid Lagoon. So there's some shading of blue tones. And as you can see, the bubbles in texture paste are working as a resist, which I thought was a fun detail in my ocean. Next, I put the stencil back in place where I started, and I put it a little higher up so I have all the waves covered. And now I'm going to work on the ink blending of my sky. And I'm using Distress Oxide ink Scattered Straw and Distress Oxide ink Worn Lipstick. Later on, I will add some Kitsch Flamingo as well, because I needed a lighter pink to make a better blend in my background. And I love how these colors work together and how you can create a fun sunset. Next, I'm going to die cut some waves in my ocean so I can tuck my critters in there. I'm using the hippo, the shark, the floaty, and the beach ball from this super cute Sweet Stories stamp set. And I colored them with my Copics, and now I'm going to get them ready to add them to my card. I made a little cut in the floaty so I can tuck the hippo in there. And to make it easier to add him to my card, I'm going to glue him to the floaty so he will stay in place. To make my background a little more interesting, I decided to use this stitched die cut. And this is going to make the background a little smaller than my card base, but I like that for a little more interest. Now, before I do anything else, I'm going to add my sentiment, which comes from the sentiment stamp set that comes with the Sweet Stories Summer collection. And I prefer to stamp my sentiment first before I do anything else, because I'm going to use some foam squares, which makes the stamping a little harder. Now it is time to add my critters. And I'm going to have the hippo in the floaty all the way on the right, tucked in that wave. And I have him sticking out of the card a little bit for extra interest to the card. I will do the same over on the left with the beach ball. So I put glue on the floaty, and I'm going to add a foam square besides the head of the hippo that will also show some more interest. I'm also putting a foam square behind the head of the shark, and the bottom part of his body will be glued down. The beach ball is going to go on some foam squares as well, and I'm going to place it on top of the tail of the shark, so it's like the shark is playing with the beach ball and flipping it in the air with its tail. Because that wave die cut created a gap in my card and I didn't want to ink up the background to cover that up, I'm going to place that wave back in there. So I'm adding some glues on the back of my critters, and then as an extra security, I'm going to put some washi tape on top of it. And lastly, I'm going to add my card to the card base with some foam tape so it pops off from the background. So here's my finished card. I hope you enjoyed watching it come together. Please hit the like and subscribe buttons, and I'll see you all next time. Bye bye.